Welcome back, everyone, to RGV Wellness Week. This is day 4, and our topic today is energy, burnout, and balance. Our first presenter is Janie Jaramillo, founder of Yoliteotl Wellness. Janie is an energy healer, hypnotherapist, and teacher of energy practices. Through Yoliteotl Wellness, she shows people how to work consciously with their own energy, to notice where it drains away, to bring more of it in, and to keep themselves full, grounded through the demands of everyday life. Hope you enjoy the presentation.
Hi, and thank you for joining me. My name is Janie of Yoliteotl Wellness. I am an energy healing practitioner, and I'm also a teacher of energy healing practices. One of the things that I love to do is show people how to work with their energy consciously, teaching them the skills that then they can use to amplify their energy and to manage the things that happen during the day and the things that they've already experienced. Today, I'm here to talk about burnout. And I want to discuss burnout in terms of energy management. So one of the things that happens regularly when people are experiencing fatigue or tiredness for a long time, they start to think of that as burnout. Now, I think fatigue and burnout are a little bit different in that in burnout, there is a sustained feeling of a lack of energy. And then usually when people feel burnt out, then there's also depressive feelings. So when people start thinking about burnout or they start thinking about fatigue, one of the very first things that, of course, they think about are the physical symptoms and the physical solutions for the symptoms that they're feeling. So if they're tired, maybe they need more sleep. Maybe they need to eat better. Maybe they're deficient in vitamins, and so better nutrition is going to help. Maybe they need movement, so that means they need exercise, and that is going to produce these chemicals in our body that help us feel better. Now, all of the solutions are great solutions. They help a lot of people. But what happens is that we keep feeling this over and over. But it never really becomes something that you solve. And even sometimes when you try nutrition and you try sleep and you try exercise, you're still depleted. You have this sense of not having enough. One of the ways that you can think about it is like you are this energy container. Our bodies are this energy container. And what happens is there's these energy leaks. There's things that keep depleting our energy. So one of the things that we need to do is we need to stop some of those energy leaks. So yes, of course, you need to consider what type of energy you're feeding yourself. Like you need to consider the type of food that you're eating. You need to consider your environment. You need to consider movement. You need to consider sleep. All of those things are adding to your container. But when I'm talking about energy practices, I'm talking about those practices, those skills that we develop that help to seal our container so that when we're putting all this good stuff in, we're not leaking it. Because if we're putting all of these good nutritional positive things into our container, if we still have these energy leaks, then it's never going to be enough. We're never going to feel satisfied. We're never going to feel full. And so energy practices that you can learn and that you can do on a daily basis really help to keep your container full. It helps to keep your energy within your container. The energy practices can help you develop and strengthen the integrity of your container. That means you seal any of those holes, any of those leaks. And there's different practices that are going to do several things. Let's talk about some of the things that you can do. Now, a lot of people have heard of Reiki. And so Reiki is one method. For example, you can study Reiki, you can get a Reiki attunement. And one of the things that Reiki does is that it opens your energy system to receive more vital force energy. So a lot of us don't realize that just the way that we've been living, and we haven't really been taught how to open ourselves up to vital force energy. And of course, all these other practices that you do, like eating well and sleeping and having fun, all of those are helping you tap into vital force energy in different ways, whether it's through food or through increased oxygen and so on. But you can also do this energetically. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have to do all of those other things. Of course, you also do them. But for a lot of people, just doing all those good things isn't enough, and we still feel depleted. So what does that mean? That means that we need to open our systems, we need to open our bodies to receive more vital force energy energetically. And so Reiki is one of the ways. Almost always after I work with students and they receive a Reiki attunement, they always mention how they feel much more energy. So they can feel energy through heightened sensitivity. So I just had a student who shared that they had increased sense of smell and increased sense of hearing when they received their attunement. I also had another colleague that I did an attunement for, and she experienced this increased sense of energy. So she was like, oh, I have felt so good these last few days after the attunement. And so what the attunement does, again, it opens up your energy system to receive more vital force energy, which means that you're going to be open and that energy is going to be flowing through you. So imagine your body is like this water hose, and part of the water hose is closed, so it can't fully receive the water. So what the attunement does is really opens you up so that you can receive. Now, what happens after you receive the energy flow it's going to be different for each person. That's one of the things that I work with students is for them to notice how this increased energy flow affects them. And so that's one way, is to work with Reiki energy. Another thing that you can do is meditation. Meditation is a way that you can calm your nervous system. Now, I know that some people who are very anxious, meditation increases their anxiety, and so they can't really meditate. So there's other ways of using energy practices also, not just increase your access to vital force energy, but also to release some of those things that are making you anxious. Because we should be able to quiet down, we should be able to go inside and be in the sense of calm and peace. Now, I know that when we're starting out, there's a lot of people who can't do that right away. Even taking a deep breath is uncomfortable for some people, but that's part of the skill. That's part of what you develop when you learn to meditate. And of course, there's different ways of meditation. For example, yoga can be considered movement meditation when you're with the right yoga teacher who is not just using it as exercise, but using it as a way for you to get in touch with yourself and to open your energy channels. Another thing that you can consider are more gentle forms of movement like Tai Chi or Qigong. Those are gentle forms of ways of moving your energy, like opening yourself up to the energy, having the energy flow in, accumulating that energy, bringing it back into your body. Now, a lot of these seem like movements. I do those movements all the time. How is it different? It's different because it's intentional. You're moving in a very intentional way. You are focused on the movement. A lot of times you're visualizing things as you do the movements, and all of that is going to help you move your energy and is going to help you move some of those blockages. Now, earlier, I talked about energy leaks. Energy leaks are really anything that depletes our energy. Now, is it like me having to go to work, or me having to take care of my kids, or me having to pay the bills? Those things, energy leaks, they are if you worry about them. So the things themselves are not necessarily energy leaks. They're just things that we need to do throughout the day. That doesn't mean that we need to feel depleted by those things that we do. When we focus in on the activity and how are we feeling when we are doing that activity. Are there worries? Are there anxieties? Those are the things that become the energy leaks. Now, a lot of times we think of energy leaks as worries about the past that we can't change, or worries about the future that we can change. And all of those are energy leaks because we're actually spending mental energy in ideas or in thoughts or memories that really don't serve us. So our focus is to be in the present moment. That means to enjoy what you're doing. For example, if you're paying your credit card bill, are you paying it in a way that's very intentional versus worrying about running out of things or worrying about being able to make ends meet or so on. And I'm not saying those things are not realities, like those you need to consider, because of course we need to make sure we pay our bills, we need to put food on the table, but worrying about it when we can't control it is what is depleting. So what are the things that we can do to calm our minds? What are the things that we can do to be in the moment and enjoy the moment versus worrying about the next thing or worrying about things that we really can't control, especially things that are happening at the national level or things that are happening at the global level. These can also be considered energy leaks. So a lot of what I've been talking about in terms of energy leaks has to do with where we put our attention. So are you watching the news that is really stressful, right? Are you in this constant state of worry? These energy leaks are actually patterns, are energy habits that we have because we haven't been consciously thinking about them. So starting to think about, how am I spending my days? What are the things that I'm thinking about when I start feeling anxious, when I start feeling this sense of disquiet? Why is it? What is going on during my day? Is it because it's difficult relationships that I have? Is it difficult situations? Or am I just worried about things that I can't control, that there's nothing that I can do about them at this time? When we talk about energy practices, a lot of energy practices are actually tools that we can use, that we can call up in the moment so that they can help to decrease your level of anxiety, so that you can notice what is happening during the time in the moment so that you can shift things. Yes, a lot of the practices, when you're first learning them, you have to be very intentional. You kind of have to, when, like, for example, when you meditate, some people think I have to meditate for 30 minutes or I have to meditate for an hour. And really, that's not the focus. The benefit of meditation is that you can bring yourself to those quiet moments, is that you can stop your attention from being dispersed and from going to things, thoughts, ideas, anxieties, worries that are really not serving you in the moment, and bringing yourself back to the moment to feel safe, to be in your body, to be in the sense of gratitude, perhaps expansiveness, and then all of that, then that means that you are keeping your energy inside your energetic container. And of course, I'm thinking of the energetic container as your body, but really your energetic container is a little bit bigger. We don't really learn. A lot of us don't have had educations that have never taught us about the energy body, or we learn about the bones and the muscles and all of that, but we don't learn about other parts of our energy system that are as important. And these are things that we can actually manipulate. You can, for example, feel your bicep, and if you do an exercise that's going to strengthen your bicep, we feel that and we see it as well. So we see our bicep getting stronger, perhaps getting bigger, getting more firm. And our culture tends to discount things that we cannot see. So we cannot see our mental body, or we cannot see our emotional body, but we know that those things are there because we know that how we think affects how we feel. So that's part of our mental body. We know that how we feel affects how we react, how we feel is part of our emotional body. So being able to have a language and being able to have skills, have exercises where you can attune to your own different energy bodies, where you can learn to shift them so that if you're in an anxious state, there are things that you can do to get you out of that anxious state. If you're feeling burnout, it's because you're depleted. So there are things that you can do to bring more vital force energy and to keep that vital force energy that you're bringing into your body. All of that is so important. You can learn, you can practice, you can become better. And if you're a parent who has kids who are very sensitive, your kids can also learn. It really benefits you to learn the skills because then, one, you can be a better parent and be more present with your kids, but then you can also teach your kids this way of being in the world, which if they can learn it while they're young, will benefit them for the rest of their lives. If you're interested in learning more about energy practices, learning about how to work with your energy, how not just to bring in more vital force energy, but also how to keep that vital force energy in your energetic container. I offer Reiki attunements and I offer classes on how to work with your energy. I look forward to meeting you soon. Thanks for joining me.